Hi, it's Chris Titley here. On today's episode of Scoreboard, I'm joined by Matt Cockbain in person. Matt, welcome to the little impromptu studio we have here.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. It's a good setup you've got.
Thanks, mate. Yes. Mate, so we're sitting here on the 24th of June in the afternoon. What's Matt Cockbain doing on the 24th of June?
After talking to you, I'm be up to club training up with GPS, the old club I used to play for, and I'm doing a bit of coaching up there at the moment.
Yep.
And, so that's the major thing on today's agenda, obviously after speaking to you. But, made a decision earlier this year to drive up from Melbourne, where I've been based for a long time, to be on the ground in a rugby state, obviously with the Melbourne Rebels falling over in Melbourne. Rugby's not so prevalent down there, and coming back up here and being involved in some school coaching as well as back with the old club's been good to keep the tools sharp, I guess.
Yeah, and so rugby, you're still involved in rugby. You played rugby as a junior. You played professionally as rugby. You're coaching rugby. Your relationship with rugby, how that's changed over time?
I love the game, right? Like, I think anyone who's involved in it as a player and a coach obviously loves the game. And I never thought I'd be a coach while I was playing. And I played probably 10 years professionally, but was in a time where it was still amateur, but we were probably training.
95, was it?
96.
95, 96 changed 96,
over? I think it changed over. 95 was the last amateur World Cup.
So you never grew up going, I'll make heaps of money from it, but then during your career it changed and then went, here's some money, you're like, okay.
Yeah, I guess the timing was right. Although, that was mid-20s, like I was 24 in 96 when it changed over. And, again, money was never a real motivation with playing, and it was almost a benefit of being good at what you did, I guess. So, I took up the game in late high school in a place.
That's very late compared to some of the other guests that I've had where they picked up a ball at 8 and went, oh, this is really good, yeah?
Yeah, 16 years old. I was great.
Well, you're 6'6". Do you play basketball?
No, I've never played basketball. Everyone asks me that.
I'm not going to ask you that.
Do you play basketball? No, rugby. Okay. I grew up, I was born in Coffs Harbour, but then when I was about 11 or 12, the family moved to North Queensland and we were based in Innisfail. And I did all my high schooling up there. So I say, when I say where I'm from, I say I'm from Innisfail originally. So that's where I think in your teens you grow up and you form all your opinions and that's where you do your bulk of your growing through those teen years. And attending Innisfail State High School, first sport was always, I played soccer for about 4 years and enjoyed that, and was probably quite rough as a soccer player.
Being so tall?
Well, just like to go in hard into contests. So there's a few incidents of broken legs and so forth, but we won't go in there. They're all accidents, of course. And then cricket. So Dad was a pretty good cricketer, and he taught me how to bat, as I was growing up. And so I really enjoyed cricket, but probably grew into more of a bowler's body, obviously with the height. And
not a left armer, are you?
No, not left arm.
He's a left arm, 6'6" coming down.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Well, you talk about making money. That's probably where the money was, considering what they get paid in the IPL. These days.
The T20, the evolution of the game. Yeah.
So, took up. We had an Irish English teacher. There you go. And but he was a mad rugby guy. He was involved in the local club up there, and he decided that it'd be great to sort of have a school team. And so he put a notice out one morning and said, if you guys want to play rugby, then turn up and we'll train you, right? And we've got a tournament in Townsville in 2 weeks' time. So we did that, went to the tournament. Long story short, got picked in the rep team out of that. So I thought, well, this is all right. It's pretty good from the start. I think my first game I played at centre.
Inside or outside?
Oh, geez, I can't remember.
Just this, I'll just take the ball and see what happens, right?
Yeah, well, see, we didn't know much, right? But we always kind of played backyard league. I never played league officially. So I think I played 2 official games of league for the school, and that's my rugby league career. But I've always watched it and enjoyed it a lot. And, so off the back of that, the school then had entered the competition in the Cairns District schools competition, and so we had a team in there for a couple of years, and so that's, I guess, where I developed my love of rugby. And then from there it sort of grew into, playing for teams like Queensland Country, Queensland Under-21s, and then eventually made the move down here to Brisbane and played for GPS.
I've got a burning question on the back of that.
Yeah.
What's the state of origin? Where do you go for?
Queensland.
Born in coughs.
Yeah, well, see, this is the issue, right? So I've coached the Waratahs as well. Like during COVID, I was there for a couple of years when Rob Penny was coach, and I was with my ex-Wallaby teammate, Chris Whitaker. So Wits
Staunch New South Wales. I didn't like him.
Yeah, he is.
A bit like Benny Elias.
Yeah. And so, I said,
great footballer, by the way. Not as a Queenslander, didn't like him. Obviously.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy, Chris. Like he's really, really down to earth and has got your back in everything you do. But except the origin thing, he goes, "Oh, you're just a turncoat." He's into me. So I said, "Well, it is what it is." I played all my.
Oh, we claim a lot of people. Alan Border,
yeah. So I'm pretty.
Chris Latham, I think we claim.
Latham's a great Queenslander, isn't he?
Yeah, that's it.
And he's from Narrabri. So and been down. Well, he actually played for the Waratahs. So
Chris Latham played for the Waratahs.
Yeah, early in his career, I think he played a few games for the Tars before he then came up to Queensland in 1998. I think he came up. Yeah. Yeah,
right. So in Innisfail though, would have been league 100%, and then Union was a handful of people playing, and then you picked up the ball and you're like, this is a little bit better than league. Why do you reckon league, your Union experience was a little bit better than league?
I don't know. I think it was just luck. I think if it was league, because that same year I did try league, but I had an injury and I couldn't attend the district trials, so I had to miss that, and then rugby just filled the void, I guess, from there. So I think it's just pure luck and a bit of timing. That I think in the end, obviously, the way my body is, it's more suited to Union. With height, you don't get that many guys that are 6'6" playing rugby league, but there are a few. But I think it just suited. It suited me, and the timing was right.
And when did you morph from being a centre into the front row?
Front row, second row.
Second row, as in front, sorry, forwards, I mean.
Second row, number 8, and blindside was probably my number one position in terms of where I ended up.
I was thinking about front row because of Fletcher Dyson, he's on the mind. We were chatting
to him in that bracket, mate. Fletcher's looking pretty fit these days.
Yeah, I had to adjust the mic for you. It was the first 6'6" guess.
So, I guess just had a natural, enjoyment of the game. Like athletically, it suited me as well. Like, being able to jump in a line out, I could jump well, and that was in the days where it was unassisted. So, lifting came in later.
Wow, there you go.
In my career.
What about the 4-point versus 5-point? Was you always 5?
I think that happened early on. I think that probably happened. When was that? That might have been
90. Well, 91 World Cup was 4.
Yeah, I think early 90s. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you played a bit of rugby in 4-point rugby.
A bit of 4-point rugby. Yeah, would have been at school and probably the
spiking stuff. The rucking.
Oh yeah, the rucking. Yeah. So my brother was a good rucker. He's the larger of the two, right? He's 6'8", about 120, 25 kilos, and we came to Brisbane together, and we both obviously played for Jeeps together. And Brent's got an interesting career and story. Like he was involved in Queensland rugby. I think I played a couple of games. He came off the bench, and we played a couple of games for the Queensland team then, and Reds as it is known now. And but then he was sort of pushed out. We had a lot of locks there, good locks there, and he decided to take off and have a new experience. So he ended up in Wales. He was London Irish at first, and then he ended up in Wales playing for a club called Pontypridd up there. And then for the Celtic Dragons, I think, later on. So he then got a call eventually from from the Welsh coach and said, "Oh, do you want to play for Wales?" Because he qualified for residency. Residency in those days was 3 years, not 5 years, like it is today. And so he said, "Oh yeah, I'll have a go." So he ended up playing, I think, 27 tests maybe for Wales, won 5 Nations.
Wow.
Back in 2005.
I do remember Brent Cockbain, but wouldn't have thought that he'd went over and played international rugby for 27 games, right?
Yeah. And
sorry, it's Cockbain, isn't it? It's pronounced?
Cockbain,
It's
spelled Cockbain, but
that's right. My last name's Titley, so it's all good. That's fine.
That's right. And in that 2005 season, he got a call up to play for the Lions, obviously, which is sort of on the radar at the moment, right? The Lions are here. So, he ended up playing 2 games for them. I think he got flown in as injury cover into Auckland Airport late. The game was that day up in Whangarei, so they had to helicopter him up from the airport, Auckland Airport, up to Whangarei, and he sat on the bench for that game. And
we got the Lions in town now. What are you thinking? What are you feeling about rugby where it's at right now with the best of the best coming over every was it 12 years, isn't it? Yeah, 12 years.
Every 12 years. So
that's right. So you played in
24, 24 years ago. It's a long time.
01 and then 13, and then so the 01 series started at the Gabba, I seem to recall.
That's right. Yeah, 2013 I coached against him. I was coaching at the Rebels at that time, and we had a tour match.
I'm going to hone in a little bit on this series because we're right in this thick of this, and it's a very important moment for rugby. A couple of things. One, your feeling about playing them and the series and what it meant to you versus the All Blacks and the World Cup, etc. And then also now we're in a state of where rugby hasn't had the best run in the last few years, etc. compared to other codes and whatnot. And and the Bledisloe Cup, etc. What are you thinking? So we'll go on to the Lions first, your feeling, but then how important this is.
Oh, look, the Lions are always a strong team, right? When you bring the strength of the 4 nations together, and Ireland's been sitting in that sort of 1 to 3 position and ranking-wise in the world. At the other end of the spectrum, you've got Wales, who haven't won a game in 17 games or something like that. England have always got some good players, and Scotland are actually a really good team, I think, an improving team, and have got some really good cohesion with their players. So the challenge, I think, for the Lions will be around getting cohesion with the groups that they've got. So they've got, Andy Farrell's the Irish head coach. They've got a couple of other coaches in there that know the Irish system. So expect them to be a little bit Irish in nature.
Just describe that a little bit in terms of, England maybe defensive, kind of forward, hit some penalties. You got the French a little bit more flamboyant. What about what you describe the Irish?
Irish, in their attack, they tend to, swing a lot from side to side, but they still have the ability to go quite direct. So they're a good mix, I think, of teams. So they tend to play in lines of attack. So, you've probably heard of a blocker play before where you've got players in front of the ball. They're an option, and then someone's out the back as well. But sometimes they use 3 lines of attack. So, they've got the front line, the middle line, which is usually the playmaker, and then you've got a runner out the back there. They do that a lot, and they play it quite tight. So the defender's asked to make a lot of decisions quickly. So it does put a lot of pressure on your defence. But as I said, they've got that ability to go to set piece as well. Strong mauling team, strong scrummaging team, so they can generate penalties, etc. So they've got a good variety in their attack and in the way that they can generate points.
But then it's let's get together. We're enemies, but now we're friends on a tour across the other side of the world. There's a little bit of factors going on there. It's not. It's obviously wear the T-shirt with pride, but there's also the element you're not representing your country.
Yeah, well, Simon Easterby, the assistant coach, who's Irish, and their defence coach, he's mentioned that they're around that cohesion. For them to go well, they need to be able to connect and get on the same page quickly and be able to do, the same thing at the same time, I guess. So that'll be a major challenge for them, and it will be a challenge because under fatigue, you tend to revert back to what you know. So if it's not quite second nature, there might be some disconnect there, I think, which is what the Wallabies are probably counting on and what they can potentially exploit in some of the games, is that lack of, that really deep understanding of what the man next to you is going to be doing. So,
you need to describe the Irish way of football or rugby. Do you want to talk about how you describe the era that you played as a Wallaby in a few words, and then also how would you, in a few words, also how you would describe the current era of Australian Rugby Union?
We just had a real focus on doing our jobs well. Like that, for me as a player, like that was my number one thing, was going out there. And I knew I didn't have to do anything special, but what I did, I had to do it 100%.
At full throttle all the time, yeah.
Yeah. So that was my base. That was everyone's base. That's what we needed to deliver so the next man could do the same thing. And in certain moments, you might get the opportunity to do something a bit special, like make a play, whether that be defensively or from an attack perspective. It might be an offload, could be a big tackle, and that's when guys can step up and make a difference, I guess. Now, some players are better at that than others.
In the moment of glory,
and in certain areas, because you've got different. Like Todd Ikefu, for instance, was a really good guy to play with, because he, from a carry perspective, he had great footwork and could always find a weak shoulder and was able to get good gain lines. So to follow him through, potentially you got an offload or it was an easy clean, and then you could keep
the momentum forward. The next phase. Yeah,
other players like that in terms of might be better defensively. So make a difference in their defensive side. Like stopping or being real, I guess abrasive in terms of putting a bit of fear factor in the opposition.
The idea of a successful team, I've delved in a little bit with some people that have won premierships, etc. And there's some varying views, but consistently it's the same. It's a team sport, but very individual, and the person coming off the bench knows they're coming off the bench. They've got 10 minutes. They're going 10 minutes full throttle. That's their job, and you just touched on that. But then there's also a mixture of youth, and there's a mixture of experience, and there's a mixture of ego thrown in there as well. Why do you reckon your era as the Wallabies was so successful compared to maybe just the modern era?
I think Rod Macqueen obviously came in as a coach at the start of that successful period there, late 90s through the early 2000s. And I remember going into camp the first day. I think it must have been 1998, our first camp, and he said to us something pretty simple, but it's pretty important thing. And he said, "You blokes will all get on, right? So we need to be able to get on together. You don't have to be best friends, but you've got to be able to get on. If you don't get on, you won't be in the team." So
that's
it was a pretty clear message straight up that we needed to just, I guess, just gel together, right? Just to become as close as we could, mates, because mates fight for each other, and that really sort of stuck with me. And the other thing he probably was really big on was just being humble, and very complimentary, I guess, towards opposition and everyone else, and just the simple things like the All Blacks call it sweeping the sheds
after the game. Yeah,
that's right.
Leaving everything as you found
all those things.
Yeah.
We did at the time, and we certainly were, I think, a pretty humble team, and particularly outwardly, right? Like you might have your own opinion behind closed doors to your mate, but we certainly again had that message drummed into us.
How would you compare Rod Macqueen with then Eddie Jones coming through later on?
Yep. So I had a couple of years with Eddie as well, and look, there's similarities, right? There's some Eddie's big thing for me was around the detail he saw the game in. Rod had some detail there, but he was more of a bigger picture guy. He brought in some good guys in and around as an assistant coaches to be able to cover the detail side of it, but he was very good at setting a big picture. Eddie kind of had a bit of a mix of both.
So he wanted to know the ins and outs and everything minute, but also the big picture. Rod's like, I've got some people here that tell me the ins and outs, but I'm thinking,
and Rod was still across that stuff, but for me anyway, my opinion was he was really good at setting the scene and setting the big rocks for us. All right, these are the things we need to watch out for. These are the key areas that we want to really attack. I thought he was good at that, and the combination of this assistance he had through his time was good because they brought a little bit more deeper detail into the specifics, whether they be line out. Maybe it's like a guy like John Muggleton, ex-leaguey, who was our defence coach for many, many years. He brought a good level of detail to our defence, and we trained it over and over again, right? I think that mix was good. And then Eddie still had good assistants as well, but he was more kind of hands-on in training sessions in terms of like coaching the detail and having an eye for it. He speaks about having an eye to coach the detail in the moment, and it's certainly a skill that's developed as a coach over time.
We touched on the Lions sort of getting together as a group and building something. I'm curious to know a couple of things. You play for your state, and you're meaningful, and you put the jersey on. You play Queensland, New South Wales, or whatever it might be, and then you go to the Wallabies, and you have to almost build culture again there. How did that go with you?
I don't think I had a problem with it. Like I just sort of thinking back now, like I was the kind of player who I needed to. If I was playing against someone, you're the mortal enemy. I think
you're staring at them, right?
Yeah, my mantra was kill or be killed out there, like because you had to physically, like that was part of my job in my position, and the player I was to really have a kill or be killed mentality. Be super physical, super aggressive, and try and gain some advantage out of that. And for a long time, early in my career, it was hard to switch that off post game. It wasn't until after a couple of seasons that I could start to separate it a bit and then go over and talk to the opposition.
And have maybe a beer with them.
Yeah, exactly right. So, and I wish I would have maybe been like that a bit earlier. But it was the way
competitive, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I think it was just the fact that okay, if I've got to play these guys again, I need to be, have the red mist ready to go. And I didn't want to be too friendly with them or friends, but because I knew I had to go out there and basically try, as I said, kill be killed. It just took, I think, just a bit of maturity, and it took time to sort of figure that out in my own head, and that I could, go out there and hit them hard. And, even back in those days, you could throw punches and there'd be fights and things like that. But then being able to sort of come off the field and say, that was a good one you got landed on me or whatever. It's that took a bit of time for me. Like I remember, like a guy like Justin Harrison, for example. Like Justin came on the scene, I think, what was he, around 2000-ish, and playing against him, Brumbies v Reds, was like a nightmare. Like he was all over you all the time. I just remember thinking, who is this dickhead? And but then we got into camp, right, and we actually gelled really well. Like we became really good mates, and then we did a lot of stuff together.
Did you say, "G'day, I'm Justin. I know who you are. I don't like you."
Yeah, well, mate, he's a late adopter as well. Like he only started playing when he was 19. So.
Yeah, and he had a Lions moment, as we call it, as well.
Well, yeah. Just ask him; he'll tell you about it. So that's the running joke now.
It's a 3.5-hour podcast, is it?
Yeah, that's right. But no, he's a good man, and I still keep in contact with him today and talk to him on and off. So it's just an example of the perception that you have of opposition players. Is different once you cross back over that white line and back into the civilian side of life.
You talked also about the being best friends with your teammates I'm curious to know about where the coach sits in all of that. Are you best friends with the coach, or are you like teacher student? Like I'm the boss, or are you out in the beers with the coach? Like I'm interested because it seems like it's a bit closer now. Maybe that they're off field. There might be godfathers of the kids. All this sort of stuff.
I think it's a little bit individual. Some players you're closer to than others, and I know that in myself. I now have been coaching for like 15 odd years professionally. That there's a couple of guys that I really enjoy catching up with still, but like there's still separation there. Like it's not like you go out and get on the beers with them. You will to a point, and then it's like, okay,
the point's there.
Where's the exit?
Yeah.
And then you kind of
interesting.
The Simpsons that image of Homer like going back into the bush. That's what you do as a coach, right? If you're out with the boys, so you just try and find the right moment to cut away, and then you leave them to it, right? So that's how I've sort of treated it. Some don't, some maybe go a bit longer, but again, it's some of those guys that I spoke about that you're closer with, you sort of catch up on a personal level anyway outside of a rugby environment.
Yeah, and then as a coach, looking at players coming through, what do you look at as obviously there's different positions in rugby, but what do you look at as a person that you go, actually, I could pick that kid, I could pick that person?
There's probably a couple of things. Character is probably a general thing that coaches would say, but the ability for them to be coachable, I think, is important.
To listen,
yeah, all that sort of stuff. That it's not so much about how skillful they are, but if you begin coaching a kid and you can see a level of commitment from them that they're improving and they're on their rugby journey, then that's a great motivator for the coach. And I'm sure it's a great motivator for the player to see that they're improving as well. So being coachable, the ability to have a good work rate and work ethic is also important.
When it comes to fun and rugby, and it goes back to your grassroots, you're probably having fun. You're probably pretty good at the sport, so that made it fun and a few different things. Did you have fun through your rugby career?
Oh, yeah. And again, like when I started at school, all my mates, we just all went in together and played together. So it was like the group you sit with at lunchtime, that was half the forward pack and half the back line. So, and then, a couple of other guys that fit into that, and you end up all being mates in the end. And
so there's a little forward back thing still, you reckon?
Oh, there's always forward back things.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you think about the backs?
That opinion varies from game to game and day to day.
What do the backs think about forwards?
Well, they need us, right? Because we win the ball, right? And then they get a little bit pointy sometimes with possession, and that's when I have an issue about it. But about some of the aimless kicking, shall we say, or the turnovers that can happen. But I mean, it's a 15-man game. You got to work together, and it's all about supporting each other. Maybe you keep them. You certainly try and keep them accountable, and make them understand that we've worked so hard to get the ball. Yeah, let's make sure we take care of it when we do get it and make good decisions. So,
when I was growing up watching AFL, there was a very sort of every position had its sort of characters, and the positions were the positions, and there wasn't a whole lot of like continuity around the field. And watching people like Richie McCaw and David Wilson, you're like, oh wow, they're everywhere, and they're midfielders in the AFL, and they're running everywhere. Now the AFL teams are running everywhere, and they're all fit and everything, and they're all almost all the same sort of character. How did you go about the game evolving where everyone had to be a little bit like a fullback, or everyone had to be a little bit like a second rower?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's such a thing in rugby, because it is such a lot of the positions are quite specialised from a physical perspective. So, the front row, they've got to have thick necks.
But they've got to be fit still,
Yeah, well, they do, yeah, and that's the extra I was talking about. So their base and their job is to scrum well, maul well, that tight play is their go-to, their core role. what we call our core role. But then they you get some very skillful front rowers, don't you, these days? Like, they're able to sort of tip pass and offload
and
very
step
well.
and,
all that sort of stuff.
Bend and run 20 metres ahead, yeah.
A guy like Angus Bell currently, I coached Belly at the start of his career at the Waratahs, and his ability to beat players is as good as any centre almost out there, right? He's 125 kilos. So he's got some great skill, that kid, and he's got a long career in the game if he can sort of stay away from the few injuries he's got lately. So that's, to go back to your question around, the different types of character there and how they sort of fit into the game. I think, everyone's probably got a bit fitter and a bit more dynamic, but there's still certainly positions and even positions within positions. So you're talking a thing about a back row. The best back row is a back row that's, there's three guys in there: open side flanker, blind side flanker, number 8. The best back rows are always guys that have different things that they're good at. And so I was, lucky enough to play a lot of my career with David Wilson, who you mentioned, Todd Kefu, who we've mentioned, and myself. We were the back row. So we all had a different things we were good at. And so as a combination, we gelled quite well. So there's that cohesion factor that goes very much into selecting rugby teams.
And the team within the team, right?
That's right.
The three, like we can't not pick the three, right? For instance, because they became the centres, the Horan Littles, etc.
That's right.
Yeah. Speaking of that era, the players were known, broadly speaking, recognised in the street, the posters on the wall, etc. And the last 20 years, we've had the competition of the American sports. We've had KO Minis. We've had all these different things that have come where maybe they're not as recognised or not as well known. How did you cope with that attention? And I suppose now, how do you get rugby back to know that you can name the Wallabies 1 to 15 pretty easily as a kid?
Yeah, I guess, well, currently they're probably not as well known, but I think success brings that, winning brings that. I wouldn't say I was ever well known in terms of, involved in winning teams, but I don't think I regarded myself as a
flamboyant
front line's not the right
character
word. Like it's more just I kind of did my thing and that was it, right? Whatever. But you mentioned the kind of the new age. It seems everything seems to be shorter in terms of like, just showing bits and pieces. Someone was saying the other day around that's why the NBA and the basketball are doing so well, because they just clip up little highlights.
Mate, all we had was Channel 10 on a Saturday for like an hour going, and the top 10 players of the week in the NBA, and you're like, look, quick, record it on the VHS and press rewind and watch it 5 times, right? Now they can follow teams and watch it every morning or whatever they want to do. Yeah. So I'm a Dallas fan. Did you see they beat New Jersey? You're like, no. They're like, I watched it at home in the afternoon after school.
So that's why something like Sevens, has a popularity. But then in saying that, World Rugby have cut back a little bit on the Sevens, I think. Like, Ireland, I think recently have cut back significantly their program. I think they don't even have a national men's team now. So,
right. Okay.
Yeah, there was talk around that. I'm not sure where that sits right at the moment. But, that shorter form game probably captures a different athlete to a degree. Like some of those athletes certainly transition across to 15s, but it's only in certain positions, right? You don't get many second rowers, front rowers, obviously playing sevens. The odd back rower, but they're mainly backs. And but the short form of the game has its appeal to a certain audience, and sort of from a tournament-based perspective, that gels really well because you get a lot of games, see a lot of different teams, and it's got a carnival type atmosphere.
That's really interesting you bring up that point around the sevens, because T20's evolved in cricket and it came from an exhibition style. And we had Michael Kasparov on recently talking about the first game where they're all just mucking around and bowling underarm and having a bit of fun, and to see what's happened in 20 years for that. Yet sevens has been around for a long time but hasn't evolved to – it's a professional circuit, don't get me wrong, but that mainstream audience of, consistent packing out, and T20 dominates the summer on cricket, etc. Do you think rugby's evolved a little bit in terms of its innovation and looking at league, as an example, we've got golden points, 2-point field goals, little things like that, which kind of excite people a bit more.
Yeah, well, there's been a couple of super rounds, which was stolen probably from rugby league.
Yep.
So that's one innovation. Like that was run down in Melbourne, so that's no longer an option there. And I don't think we had one this year from memory. No super round this year. There have been some competition organisers that were having a 12-man team.
Okay,
game.
So shorten the numbers, so the hot points go up. It's a bit higher scoring.
That's right, and then but shorter halves as well. So there was proposal. I can't remember. I think it was over in England. There was a proposal around some sort of high-level hybrid type game like that. Maybe tweak a few rules. So there's been talk about it, and currently there's this 360 comp that's sort of backed by, I think, Middle East Saudi money. So I think Mike Tyndall might be involved in that, is what I hear. And that's around more of a Formula One style travelling circus around, play a tournament here, and then have a season based around that. So they'll need a lot of players to play in those teams. So those teams might have 8 franchises, but they're targeting some. They've certainly got big hopes for it, but whether it gets off the ground, I'm not sure.
So sort of not 7s, 15.
No, more 15 spaces.
Like a global Formula One style. Yeah, but the 7s do that now.
Yeah. So it's similar in concept, I think, to the 7s, but a bit more week after week. So the season would be shorter, kind of, I guess, like a T20, but not with shortened time or shortened numbers.
Do you think, saying like grassroots rugby has struggled a little bit potentially, and I don't know the numbers on it, but I just follow the AFL and the basketball numbers, and they're sort of up because of the weight, age, etc. It's a real thing. What's the solution? What's your thoughts on that?
Being back in club rugby and school rugby here, it's followed pretty well, I think. Like there's good off-field support for it. I'd probably say at the moment we're probably not, from on-field standards point of view, in terms of the level of play, we're probably a little bit behind from where we were maybe 3 years ago, say. Like that's just my gut feel from watching the games. And there has been a lot of movement as well. Like there's been more competition from overseas players. So fringe players now can go over and play in something like the MLR, Major League Rugby in the USA. And whilst that's not nowhere near Super Rugby level, it's a bit of a bridge between sort of club rugby here in Australia and in that next level, as in Super level. So it sort of sits in and around.
In between club and super, you reckon? Somewhere in there.
Like if you're a fringe super player, you're not maybe getting a contract or you're on the edge there, then MLR is a good option to go up and play.
It's good to keep people in the game as a pool, rugby, otherwise they're, I'm not good enough, I'll piss off, right? Yeah.
So professional maybe for 6 or 7 months of the year. And then, potentially from that, an opportunity comes up to get involved with a super club or go to England or go to France or go to Japan, where there's some really good and quite established competitions.
Are you excited about the future of rugby?
I think so, yeah, especially here. Like, we've got World Cup coming, 2027, the Women's World Cup coming. Depending on what happens with the Olympics, whether the Sevens is still involved in that, that's an opportunity, and obviously here in Brisbane as well. So I think there's lots of good things happening, and then of course the Lions tour this year. Like that's
we mentioned before the podcast that they've just arrived, pretty much.
That's right, yeah. So that tour is a massive tour. Like it's every 12 years in the country, obviously every 4 years for them. So it's one of the biggest. Well, it is the biggest tour that any rugby nation play, or they're a group of 4 nations, right?
Yes. So, yeah.
Interestingly, they don't have an anthem, so it's.
Yeah, so
notice that, like at the start of the games.
I forgot about that. They used to have their socks. They still wear their socks, the nation socks.
Yeah, I think so.
Like the French, the blue, and
that
the
rings a bell. Yeah.
Yeah, or might have been the pants one year. I think it might have been. Oh no, I think it was the socks.
I think it's socks. You're right.
Yeah, no anthem and no continuity, whereas the Aussies are.
I'm sure they got a few songs though. Their supporters have certainly got a few songs.
How did you go with the anthem with John Williamson back in the day?
Oh, it was good. Yeah, that was an excellent. I don't know if it started as a promotion or how it started really, but like get him come along, and he used to come into the sheds after some wins and sit down and have a yarn and a beer. We used to. Who was it? John Howard used to come in back in
with
those
the jersey
days
on.
as well.
Yeah.
Well, no,
after he'd been for a walk.
Yeah, with a tracksuit. No, he was wearing proper attire, I think. We always used to, make him drink a beer. He wasn't very good at drinking beer.
He wasn't very good at bowling a cricket ball centre.
No, but I remember we had after we won the World Cup, we went to the lodge and had a dinner there one night, and there was that marquees out the back.
It's in Wales, was it? Yeah.
No, this is in Australia when we came back.
The
World Cup was in Wales, in '99.
Yep. You came back,
yeah. Yeah, we came back, and they hosted us down in Canberra, the whole team and staff, and we had a good night, and we got him up and to thank him, and made him. I think it was Owen Finnegan. Owen Finnegan's a well-known joker, and he got John up, I think, and offered him a beer. So you got to scull this beer, thanks for having us. And so he tried to drink it, and he was like, he couldn't finish it. So he got sort of shouted down, sit down. And then Jeanette, his wife, came up, and they gave a beer to her, and she just went boom, necked it. So she showed him up there.
Back in the day, before social media, before anything,
that's right?
And you got these memories in your head, right?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And that's something we actually talk about today. It's like, imagine if they had social media back in those days, because we had Vodafone was a sponsor for ours. They come on board around that 2001 time period.
It was a bit of a telco war game. Remember the 3G in the cricket? 3G had the sponsor of the cricket, and you had the flip phone. We could watch the TV on your phone, and everyone's crowding and going, what are you doing? I'm watching cricket on my phone. No way. Yeah. Get in and go, I can't really see it, but that's okay. So Vodafone was the sponsor.
Vodafone, yeah. We toured. I remember we toured, end of season toured to the UK, and Vodafone were pretty big over there. So they gave us some credit on a phone, and it was like the little flip phone, but it had a camera in it. But the picture quality back then,
a little pixelated.
It was so grainy and low light. Like guys are trying to take each other, take photos of them.
It's a bit blurry, mate. It's not me.
That's right. So, but yeah, we always say that we were quite like I said, half of us wouldn't have had a career if social media was around back then. So
I'm going to touch on some characters in your team. Who are the ones that you remember the most?
Oh, Owen was one. He was a big pest, but he's done some great work at Kids Cancer Project at the moment. He's been CEO of that for a long time and done a great job there. But he was always one to watch out for. I think he tells a story around. We used to have to fill in this well-being sheet, and he was telling it, I think, on another podcast recently that he checked the well-being sheet, and if whoever sort of said they might have been a bit down, that's the blokes he used to go and target. So
doesn't age well.
No, that's right, but everyone knew what he was like, right?
Yeah, so, that was him, his personality, and he's obviously very gentle,
mate, so many characters, right?
And you had some nicknames for people.
Yeah, obviously Stephen Larkin, his nickname's Bernie, like
the Weekend at Bernie's.
So it's quite well known, that nickname. But
I've got a couple of nicknames that I've been told about you from some insider sources.
Oh yeah.
What do you reckon they are?
I don't know. You tell me.
Lab rat.
Lab rat. Yeah. Yep. That's one. Discuss. That actually came from Phil Kern. So that was.
Done my research here, mate.
Yeah, that was Kernsey.
Because you used to try out all the new things, apparently.
Well,
like what's this thing? This is magnesium. I'll do. What's that good for? I'll take that. Oh,
what about HMB? Supplements.
Supplements,
supplements, and then the doctor said that some of these things have only been tested on lab rats. So that's how it's sort of stuck. So. But everything I took was always legal. I made sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, but yet supplements went through an era of just a rise then of and I think a couple of companies got taken over for billions of dollars, and Blackmores and things became things.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. Things like
fish oil. You like fish oil?
Yeah, I haven't been taking it. I take glucosamine and all that sort of stuff at the moment.
I'm on magnesium at night time. The night thing, I don't know why, but it feels good, I suppose, and I don't get any cramps.
Yeah.
I think.
I've had a hip replacement, so I can blame my father for that because he's had both of his done. So he's about the same age. He was he had his done, and so from a hereditary perspective, it wasn't great. It was
ibuprofen, that's a good one. Hydrolyte.
Yeah. Every now and then. It's all good, mate. It's all good.
What about the other one?
It's only been tested on lab rats, though. So. The other nickname?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what the other one is.
Something to do with a biscuit or something. I don't know. Is that right? No? Biscuits?
That was my brother more so. I think,
was it? Oh, yeah, maybe they got the Cockbains mixed up.
Shoulders, a little shaped like an arrow biscuit. Yeah. That was that sort of was my brother more than
you.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe the Biscuit Brothers.
Yeah. Well, actually, that did come out a few times. So. I remember I had one nickname actually I used to get was Boucher. So only a few guys used to call me that, but like Bobby Boucher because it was like the film, obviously, Adam Sandler, obviously the Water Boy. He used to like lose his nut and go and smash people. So I used to play a little bit like that sometimes.
Kill or be killed, right?
That's right, kill or be killed. And so Bobby Boucher or Boucher stuck. Actually, Michael Foley used to call me Boucher all the time. So
there you go.
Yeah.
They don't make movies like that these days.
No. Isn't there a new one coming out?
Well, maybe Adam Sandler, but we were talking about this recently about the American Pies and things like that, which is sort of a bit, it was part of its time, right?
The golden era of cinema.
Maybe I'm getting old. Matt, I'm interested to know now, as a coach, and all the things that happened in 2025 versus a player when you were playing. How do you coach people now when there's cameras everywhere? There's supplement, there's food, there's diets, there's all these things which you had a little bit of back in your day, but now it's just like, and there's money and there's stardom.
Well, firstly, I think back in our day we did have all that stuff in place, like whether guys did it or not. And it's still the same today, though. Some guys don't do it and others do. But I think at its core, I've said this before, is that coaching's a people business, right? Like you're dealing with personalities and people, and to get the best out of people, you've got to try and you've got to get to know them, right? And figure out how they tick and push the right buttons. And that's whether they're, maybe an academy member or they're part of a national team, whatever it is. It's like you need to try and understand where they're coming from, their perceptions of how things are, and then communicate well so you can get the best out of them. So I'll always try and, wherever I go, in terms of coming into a new team, I'll always try and sit down one-on-one with the players and just get to know them a bit about their background and a bit about how they are from a personality point of view. And that sometimes that's hard because you don't really get they get a bit guarded.
You don't want to veer into something that's a bit maybe personal?
Yeah, I'd try and I'll certainly always ask about family and if they've got a girlfriend or a wife or kids and all that sort of stuff. Like if you can certainly go into the new teams, and even in Japan do that. Like you'll have a translator with you, obviously coaching in another language. But I think it sets you up to be the best you can be to try and help them, because ultimately you want to help them as much as you can and get them, bring out the best in them, right? Squeeze the rock.
Do you think rugby's or sport is more competitive now versus fun? Or do you need to keep that fun to be good at what you do?
I think the best teams keep it fun. When it's not fun, it's hard, and you tend to be on the losing side of it. So it's like fun and winning go hand in hand. But you can be a team that's maximising who you are. Maybe you just don't have enough talent, or the depth's not there, and so those losses build up. But you can still have a really tight team that enjoys each other's company. And so that's a bit of the art form around coaching, creating an environment that's happening. And and obviously you got to have your senior players on board with that as well. So managing how that all comes together is a key part, I think, in the art side of coaching rather than the X's and O's of the sports side.
And then you've been in teams that you've coached that may have lost 3 in the trot or 4 in the trot, and things are low, but you think there's something there. What do you say to them?
Well, you just got to stick with the process, right? Like this is. It's cliche, but it's true. Like you question yourself. As a coach, I question myself all the time: should I have done this drill? Do I need to do that? But I just try and break it down to what do we need to do this week to put us in the best position to win on the weekend? That's probably consideration one. Or it might be a longer term approach where we need to be working on these couple of things. So in 6 weeks' time, we can be somewhere closer to that goal of being able to execute these things that we think are important.
Going into 99 and then 03, the 4-year campaigns, year 1 or 6 months through year 1, how did you think about the World Cup? Was it just a distant thing, or it was like, actually, we need to be at our peak in 4 years' time?
Well, I came in 97, so it was only a 2-year lead-in, really. So the back end of 97, actually, Greg Smith gave me my first cap, so I ran on France, second half, come on for David Wilson, actually.
And you lost that game?
No, we won that game.
You won that game. Did you win your first Queensland game? I did my research. Maybe you didn't. I thought there was 1 win, 1 loss, but maybe not. Anyway, let's not digress.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, Rod came in and we did a tour of Argentina in the UK, and we were poor. We weren't fit enough. That was clear. So things needed to change. Really sort of disappointing tour. And I was only young, so I was kind of raw and sort of learning the ropes. Yeah. So that tour, actually, we had, I think, 34 guys went to Argentina, and only maybe 28 were going to the UK to finish off games against, I think it was Scotland and England. So we had 2 tests against Argentina, and we lost the second one. And I think we may have lost the series there. We won the first, they won the second. Anyway, so he had to tell 6 guys that they were going back like halfway through the tour, which is always not great, right? Like, you picked on a tour, you're there for the duration, Anyway, so after that, I think we had 1 win, 1 loss, beat Scotland, maybe lost to England, came home. And the next year coming in after being selected, that's when he laid down the law around, everyone will get on. Let's be humble.
You mentioned early on,
we need to change our values, boys. We need to get on board with this and behave in a way that's going to set us up for success. So part of the big picture there was getting fit, and they brought Steve Nance in, the legendary Broncos S&C at the time he was, and he got us fit. So I remember doing many running sessions up there at Caloundra, around the post, and he destroyed a few guys up there.
Bit of lactic acid.
A fair bit of lactic acid. And, it was the building block to our success. So that campaign for the World Cup basically started, in that season. So 1998, the beginning of the 1998 test season. So we had 13 tests that year. I think we had to qualify for the World Cup at the back end of that year because we played Fiji, Samoa, Tonga. In 95.
So you had a busy schedule leading up to the World Cup. So you had probably, to win the World Cup, you probably had to play 20 tests, right? Something like that. 25 or something.
Yeah. So 98, I think we had 13 tests. I'm pretty sure I played in all of them,
3 or 4 pool games, a quarter or semi.
No, 98.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah. And then into 99, actually before the World Cup.
Yeah, so we had but the only team that beat us in 98 was South Africa. They beat us twice. And then 99, I think we may have shared wins. I think we won Bledisloe again. And then into that tournament, the first game of the tournament was against Romania up at Ulster. I was warming up, slipped over the warm-up, hurt my knee, and couldn't play. So ran inside to get strapped, ran back out, can't run, I can't push off it. So Owen Finnegan was on the bench. He went on to start the game, and then Mark Connors, Queenslander, was in the stand eating a pie, and maybe I think he might have even had a beer. So he was called in to sit on the bench, and but he had no gear, right? So he had to borrow my boots. Luckily, they were the same size.
Similar stature.
They had a spare mouth guard there, and basically had all my jersey kit and all that sort of stuff. And then he ended up playing about 15 minutes.
And it's pretty heartbreaking for you, right?
Yeah, well, I missed the next game and then got back for the final pool match against USA. Then ended up starting in the quarterfinal, semi-final,
and final. Yeah. And so the thinking process is a bit like the Olympians as well. Like you got to prepare for that, but also next week's next week. You kind of it's not the Olympics next week. You just got to do those little things. Now, Matt, your favourite all-time sporting moment. You can include yourself if you want to, which some people do, which is great because it's good storytelling. But then there's also, what about not including yourself?
Yeah, I guess the one that is the World Cup final, right?
In 99, yeah.
Yeah, it's the pinnacle and, a special event and, just the way we'd built over the years and we had an idea that we'd probably play the All Blacks in the final, but then that curveball happened with the French.
The ball bouncing a few different ways.
Yeah, the French, we ended up facing the French, but we knew nothing about the French and we had to really do some study on them during the week to get up to speed to make sure we could get the job done. So the way that everyone valued each other, pushed in the same direction, I don't think you'd get a better team, in my opinion, that I've been involved with. Like that was... And at the high performance it was generating. So that's probably number one. In terms of sort of not being involved with the sport, like I said, I love my cricket. So there's not really anything that turns out, but I used to really enjoy watching, guys like Michael Bevan, Dean Jones bat. And I remember just sort of staying up when I was young and watching
the West Indies or the England tours or whatever it might be.
The West Indies, up against the West Indies.
Steve Waugh, back in the day.
Grumpy Border.
Oh, yes, yeah.
All that era I loved. And
Curtly charging in.
Yeah, and I still watch cricket today. I really, although I'm a bit more fair weather, if we're not doing well, I might switch it off.
you're
not put myself through the punishment. But I do like it when they win. Yeah.
Yeah. No, there you go. The cricket, mate. There's some highlights there. Steve Waugh hitting a four for the last ball of the day at the SCG in his last game at the SCG, not his last game in total. Steve Waugh getting 100 in the West Indies against Kirtley. And
there's so many.
Oh, what about Michael Bevan's last ball four against the Windies, the flat bat
that was
straight down when he just does the
one
at the
day,
end,
wasn't it?
the one dayer in 95, 96.
That's the image I got in my head.
Yeah, just him just standing there, and then we were four for nothing and whatever. And
there's a lot of
Phil Simmons. You had Carl Hooper, had all the legends of the game playing for the West Indies back then.
It's such an interesting sport, right? Because it's very individual. In a team environment.
If you get 100, that's a hugely individual. There's nothing that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of things that your teammate at the non-strikers can do. They might run an extra singles, but you're the one that's facing the heat, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Very individual. And sometimes as a player, you might go, well, I'm a number 6 batter and my role's this, but you just don't get a bat. So you're going, well, my role's done, I think.
And you kind of feel like you haven't contributed there, right? That's...
Or I'm a bowler and you get taken off after 2 overs. You're like, well, my job's to bowl, but obviously got hit around. So, interesting.
Again, I guess you've got to make it up in other areas, like if the feelings
or the run out or whatever it might be. And the scoreboard moment is an interesting one. It's like a moment in time which is very vivid. And we talked about the 99 World Cup, but maybe something which is like, geez, it takes me back and I remember that moment. And from then things changed.
Yep. Again, rugby moment for me was around winning the 96 club premiership with Jeeps.
We got the shirt on today.
Yeah, about to go up there and coach now. But we had Tony Darcy was our coach then, and he pulled together a team over a couple of years, a build-up, similar to what we did at the World Cup, in fact. And then, we had a couple of fringe guys. I think Ben Tune was part of that team as a 19-year-old. We had young Dan Herbert as well. As the 2 Wallabies, a guy called Ryan Constable as well, who played for the Wallabies.
Ended up coaching at Grammar for a bit. Grammar for a bit, The blonde hair, just good.
Blonde hair. He's an agent now. He's been living in Ireland for a long time.
Yep.
We had a
He was in
good
the centres,
side.
wasn't he?
Yeah,
Yep.
we had a good side, but we came up against South in the final, and South had like 12 Wallabies or something like that, 10 Wallabies.
Yeah, the Horans and
Horan.
and
I think the centres were Horan and
Kefu.
Little.
Yeah.
Kef played. Brett Robinson, head of World Rugby. Guys like Michael Foley, Stylesy. So they had Garrick Morgan
Before he went to uni.
Yeah. So, no, Stylesy was South, wasn't he?
I think it was uni. Anyway. But a good team. Where
team,
Magpies became Wallabies. I remember the phrase on Fairfield Road.
And so it was a bit of a dire game. It was 12-6, all penalties, but it was all built around belief. Like Das had a great theme of climbing Mount Everest, and this was our Everest, and we had some people who had been on Everest speak to us, and sort of they really.
Like literally been on Everest, or just metaphorically?
Yeah, I think his name was Dr. John Taskey. He was
involved. Yes, I've heard him speak. He's got a book.
Yeah. So he's
got a book about. I think the movie he was sort of featured in a movie, but it wasn't.
It was a disaster.
It was based on his. Like it wasn't him, but it was like we're basing this character on John Taskey. Yeah.
I think in his expedition it was like 8 people died.
Yeah,
it was like 1996. So it just happened, and he came and spoke to us. I remember it was just at a hotel up in Spring Hill, and he said that his training and all that. He said he didn't realise how far he could push his body and how much his mind could take, or his body could take if his mind was right. That's what he said. So that was really for us. That was something that we had to find within ourselves. And I remember a specific moment there in the final because I'd actually been injured before, and so I was a bit underdone. So I was feeling it. And I remember a guy called Mark Murray, our flanker and captain, who was just a legend of a country guy, played for Queensland. And he just literally, I was on the ground, he just grabbed me by the scruff and said, "Get up, you're not tired. And I just thought of that moment, and I was able to push through. And so that moment within a moment, that's probably one of the key things I think I learned around just trying to push that pain to the side to go a bit harder, even if it's just for the next 30 seconds and see what happens then. Then, I might get a rest, or it might be 45 seconds and then I might get a rest. But I've got to keep going. And at the moment, there'll be a chance for me to recover, and then I can reset, go again. So that win, I think was a key moment. And in that moment, within the moment of him pulling me up and pushing that, sort of brought back the memories of John speaking about being able to push yourself really hard.
And that deep connection, potentially like thinking that yourself might be on Everest, right? Going, this is a moment where you might, it's life or death, to be honest, and you just need to pick yourself up, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I wasn't thinking, I was like pretty breathing pretty heavy at the time, but it was all about like not wanting to let the team down, and then like that's what it was about, right? And the way to do that was to get up and go again, and knowing that I just had to push the fatigue to the back of my head because I knew my body would be able to handle it.
One final question. It's about parental behaviour and support now for kids. Things get a little bit competitive on the sidelines, etc. What's your advice as a parent to watching your child go out there and playing sport, whether it's win, lose or draw?
Yeah, well, the kids are well and truly growing up, but back when I did go to their sporting things, it was just about enjoyment, right? Just let them do what they want to do. And it's interesting now my daughter's the one that's involved in rugby. My son sort of played a little bit when he was younger, but he's over in Perth now working over there. And my daughter, though, she's involved. She's actually GM of Vikings Rugby Club in Canberra.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, she worked for Brothers here for a few years, which is always hard to take, obviously, being a GM.
From GPS, yeah.
But
I wish you well.
Yeah. She enjoyed her time over there, but she's got a new challenge down there, and she only started playing rugby like 2 years ago at Brothers, and had they have built their women's team up, but she's playing down there at the Vikings and really enjoying it. So, and that's why she plays it, because she enjoys being around the girls. Because I said, I was a little bit, do you really want to, get injured? And she did get injured. She got a bad injury at the start of her when she first started playing, but she got back and she pushed through, and she enjoys the camaraderie around it. So I think, from a parent's perspective to their child, let them play what they want to play, let them enjoy, let them be with their mates, just like I did when we took up rugby back in high school, and we all did it together, and we had a great time. So I think that's the secret to it, is whether you're under 11s or internationally, if you enjoy what you're doing, you'll get more out of it.
And the parents let you enjoy it as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Not sort of like, oh, mate, you dropped the ball, you didn't have a good sleep last night. The feedback, criticism, you know.
Nah. I mean, if it's framed in the right way and like if the kid sort of
encourages it.
Encourages.
What did I do wrong? What do you think?
What do you think, Dad?
Yeah.
Or Mum? What do you?
And not the
Yeah.
Interesting.
Not forced upon them, but if they ask, then certainly you can offer. But always frame it in a way that sort of comes from a position of love and respect.
Matt Cockbain, we'll finish on that high note. That was a great way to finish. Thank you so much for being on Scoreboard, the podcast, and sharing your story through your life in and around rugby, on the field and off the field. And congratulations on what you've achieved thus far, and all the best in the next phase of life.
Thanks, Chris.